So just a little refresher on what this is, because I know that Derek, this might be his first time in satsang. So satsang is a Sanskrit word that when you break it down into sat and sang, we got it. When we break satsang down into two words, it's sat and sang, where sat means existence or being, and we can label that as truth. That's the truth of existence. And sang is in the accompany of, or in the presence of. So truth, satsang is being in the presence of truth. What makes it completely different than what we're used to in our typical day-to-day life is that in life we are reaching into the world to try to solve problems, live life, move forward, become better, but it's a reaching out into the world. It's a reaching away from ourself. Where in satsang, it's stated that the truth is within. That the truth of ourself, that the fact that we exist is the truth. We turn our attention away from the world into the experience of the truth of ourself. And this is self-knowledge. This is pure knowledge. Which leads me into what we're going to talk about today, which is the similarities between science and spirituality. Because in science, we are seeking the truth. Right? The scientists have their coveted method known as the scientific method. And that is simply scrutinizing an object, a subject. Or people keep popping in here. So the scientific method is scrutinizing a subject. You're scrutinizing it by relinquishing or determining what is false about that object to discover the truth of that object or that subject. So by discarding what is false, what remains is the truth. This is the scientific method at its core. Well, this is exactly the same method that we use in non-duality and Advaita Vedanta to understand the truth of ourself. Because there can only be one truth, and that truth has to exist. So whatever exists has to be the truth. And since we know for absolute certainty that we exist, then somehow, some way, somewhere, that existence of ourself must be the truth. And because we have a direct conduit to the existence of ourself, we therefore have a direct conduit to the truth. But there seems to be something that stands in the way of that, of knowing the truth of ourselves, of applying. So therefore we have to apply things like the scientific method, or in non-duality terms, it's known as self-enquiry. Self-enquiry is eliminating everything that is false about us and what remains is the truth. So this is what we're going to do here today. We're going to turn our attention inward, and we're going to start to scrutinize what is false, and what remains has to be the truth of ourselves. When I talk in these terms, it always brings up this quote from the famous Inspector Sherlock Holmes, because it's so true. He said, "After eliminating the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." So as we turn within in this guided meditation, I'm going to point out what is to a mind, to a person, to an individual, the impossibility. It's going to seem impossible that what is false, and what remains the truth is the truth. It's as if we're crossing a barrier back as we turn within and cross a barrier back into our being. We cross a barrier of impossibility. This is the paradox. So in a guided meditation, it's suggested to close your eyes. And the reason is because our sight is so alluring that it pulls our attention away from ourself. And the goal here is to have our attention being constantly turned within and permanently held onto the source of ourself. So in guided meditation, it doesn't mean that you have to close your eyes. It's just highly suggested. It just puts you into the most conducive environment to experience the truth directly. And it's actually in the pauses, in the silence between what I am saying, is when the truth is revealed. It's when you have the best chance to experiencing the truth yourself. So in a guided meditation, you'll see that every time I speak, your attention is being pulled towards the words that I'm speaking, which is important because that's what you're supposed to use as the tools to turn your attention back into yourself, to experience what I'm pointing to. Because this is all about direct experience of yourself. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything other than you. It doesn't ask anything of you except for you to hold your attention on yourself. Because of long pauses, I will let everyone know when the meditation's over so that you don't open up your eyes prematurely. To use as a basis of what we're going to consider false versus what is true, what is false is described as that which comes and goes. Anything that comes into your awareness and leaves your awareness comes and goes. Anything that at one time was here and at some time will not be here comes and goes and is false. So therefore, that anything that is changing, anything that is fluctuating, anything that vibrates or moves in any way does not meet the definition of permanence, because it's constantly impermanent. So therefore, anything that's impermanent, meaning it comes and goes, is false. It's a false truth. This means that anything that is permanent, or that which is permanent, we could say permanence itself is the truth. And it's in the permanence is where we truly are trying to find. It's in the permanence where the truth is found, and the truth itself is peace. So here we are going to scrutinize the false, and that which remains must be the truth. Allow your mind to come into your awareness. A mind consists of things such as thoughts, ideas, memories, images. Are thoughts permanent? Is the thought, let's go have ice cream? Is that a permanent thought in your mind? Or at one time, did it not exist? It came into your mind, and then it dissipated and left. If you apply this reasoning to all your thoughts, Your thoughts are impermanent, for they come into your awareness and then they leave. How about an image? The image of ice cream. Before I mentioned this, the image of ice cream was not present. And then I mentioned it. It came into your awareness, and you will see that eventually that image will dissipate and go away. We can apply this to memories. We can apply this to problem solving. We can apply this to anything we would consider mental or mind stuff. Even the idea of your mind comes and goes. We could say a mind itself comes and goes. For when we apply the fact that while you're sleeping, your mind is not present, so your mind may be present before you slept, it's absent while you're sleeping, and it appears again when you wake up. Your mind does not meet the definition of permanence, and therefore it is not the truth. Your mind itself is false. Allow your body to come into your awareness. A body has feelings, emotions, sensations. Does the emotion of sadness when it arises, was it not at one time not there? You were sad for a while, and then something changed and the sadness dissipated? How about the sensation of chills? At one time, there were no chills, and then a breeze came and you got chills across your body, and those chills dissipated. Again, these are not permanent. They all come and go. Your sensations, your emotions, your feelings come and go. Somebody hurt my feelings. Well, there was a prior to being hurt. There was a during being hurt. And eventually that will dissipate and there will be an after being hurt. What about the physical body? Your bones and muscles and organs. Are they permanent? Well, let's investigate. There is a biological phenomena that happens within every cell and aspect of our physical body. all cells die and are replaced with new cells. Every organ in our body has a replacement rate. It means that within a certain amount of time, the organ is completely replaced by having old cells die and being replaced by new cells. This is known as cell turnover rate. And every organ has different rates. For instance, your spleen is replaced every 7 days. Your lungs are replaced every 200 days. Even your heart is replaced once in your lifetime, along with the neurons in your brain. This sure does not sound like permanence to me. So are you the body that you were 15 years ago? Are you the body that you are now? Or are you going to be the body you are 15 years from now, as everything will be replaced? So even your physical body is impermanent. How about your 5 senses? Your sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch. These are constantly moving. These are constantly changing. Even when you look at the same tree in your front yard, that tree has changed. It comes and goes. The moment you go in your house, the vision of the tree goes away. The smell of coffee at one time was not there, now it is, and soon it will be gone. So your mind is impermanent, your body's impermanent, and your 5 senses are impermanent. To an individual, this is everything. There is nothing outside of mind, body, and perceptions that the individual knows. And what was just pointed out is that it's all impermanent and does not meet the definition of truth, which is permanence. But there's something here. There's something here that is never changed. What is that? I somehow have been permanent my whole life. As I reflect back into my youth, I see all of the changes. My body has changed. My relationships have changed. My knowledge has changed. My wealth has changed. Everything is changing, except there's something here that is never, ever changed. What is that? What makes me permanent? What gives me the experience of permanence? The permanence is that which knows the impermanence. It's the knowing. It's that which knows. It's that which knows that I have ever been. I am. That I have ever been myself. And that is a myself with a capital S. I have permanently known that I exist. I have never not existed. It may appear sometimes that I've lost this knowledge that I exist or I am aware. But then again, what knows that I was unaware? Something had to still know that I was unaware. It's the knowing that I am. I am is knowing. It's the knowing that knows your mind. It's the knowing that knows your body. And it's the knowing that knows your senses. For does a mind know itself? Can a mind sit on a table and be aware of itself? Can it know itself? Does a mind know that it exists? Or is it you, that which knows, that knows a mind? Is a body aware of itself? The great sage Ramana Maharshi would say, The body does not call itself I. It is I who call myself I. A body is impermanent. It's the permanence of I that knows the impermanence of the body. Can sight be aware of itself? This doesn't make any sense. It's illogical. It is I who am aware and know sight. It's the knowing that we turn our attention to. The knowing does not fluctuate. It does not vibrate. It does not come in and out of existence. It's permanent knowledge. Our self is pure, permanent, perfect knowledge. Even in sleep, we are aware that the knowing of ourself is permanent there. For what knows if we had a good night's sleep or not? The mind wasn't there. The body wasn't there. Our five senses weren't there. So what was there in sleep to know? The permanence was there. The permanence that never, ever leaves in any circumstance, in any state, sleeping, dreaming, or in the waking state. We are permanently aware. We permanently know that we exist. And here's where it gets extremely profound. This knowing never came into existence. The knowing of yourself, the knowing that you exist, is eternal. That means it doesn't have a beginning. It itself is unborn. This knowing never was born, it never lived, and it will never die. The knowing of yourself is inescapable. It's inescapable, pure knowledge. And when we apply the scientific method to scrutinize it through self-enquiry, through self-investigation, we discover that the experience of knowing is boundless freedom. It doesn't have any edges. It doesn't have any borders. This is true freedom. This is why it's encouraged to turn your attention here and abide in the self-knowledge of yourself. This is a single experience. There's only one permanence, and in that one permanence, in the knowledge of the one permanence, all is known. It's the grand paradox. For to an egoic mind, this is impossible. How is it that by knowing the one, all is known? This is the impossible that was stated in the Sherlock Holmes quote. After eliminating the impossible, okay, we're eliminating our mind, body, and senses. That's impossible. Yet whatever remains, however improbable, the improbable is that by knowing the one permanence of yourself, you know all. That's improbable to a mind. Yet, that is what remains. That is the truth. This pure knowledge of yourself, the permanence of your being, is the experience of unconditional love and acceptance. Because when you know yourself as the one, then all others are contained within that as well. And because the experience of yourself is unconditional love, then you're in love with the world as well, regardless of what the world is doing. You lose the ability to resist. You lose the ability to wanting it to be different than what it is. This is unconditional acceptance. And that is the experience of love. For love is total unity. There is no separation. Love is the experience of the absence of self and other. And in the absence of the experience of self and other, what remains is the one love of yourself. In Advaita, this is known as love without otherness. When all there is love, then you know the truth. And truth is not something you have. It's what you are. So turn your attention away from the impermanence and back into the permanence of yourself. This is your true nature. This is your true experience. So it's encouraged to spend as much time, as often as you can, turning your attention inward. And abiding in the permanence. The permanence will never leave you. It will never abandon you. It will never betray you. And the more you abide in it, you carry that into your day-to-day life, and it shines into and onto others. This is your greatest gift you can give the world, is the knowledge of yourself. That, excuse me, that concludes the meditation. Feel free to ask any questions you like.